Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, and I welcome you to my weekly Casing the Catalog video and blog. I saw a thing on a different website, Stampin' Up says case means copy and share everything, I think, and they had a different group of words for that, copy and selectively edit, which I thought was kind of an interesting way of looking at it as well. But anyway, I am looking at page 90 of the annual catalog, the 2021-22 annual catalog, and the Festive Foliage stamp set. And so this is the card I am going to be casing today. And it is going to be a little bit different. I am going to selectively edit some of the parts of it. So let's get started and I'll show you what we're going to be doing. This is the finished product. Trying to make sure you can see it. Let's hope I'm doing that right. One of these days I'm going to get hooked up with a monitor so I can see what you're seeing, and then it won't be quite so funny when I look at the finished one. But anyway, this is what we're going to be doing. So let me share with you what we're going to be using. Of course, we're using the Festive Foliage stamp set. Got some glare there, I'm sure, but Festive Foliage stamp set. I'm going to be using some of the metallic pearls, but they're going to be colored with Flirty Flamingo Blends pen. And I'm going to be using the word wishes because I didn't have the alphabet dies that were used on the card in the catalog. So I'm going to be using the word wishes. I'm also going to be using some, I'm going to change it up a little bit for the one I'm making you, and I'm going to be using some of the leaf and stem pieces out of the Expressions in Ink and Blackberry Beauty ephemera packs. So you'll be able to see what I'm going to do with those. And we'll just get started. First off, the base is very vanilla thick, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I just burnish that edge and set that aside for now. The next layer is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is the one we're going to be stamping, and we're going to be using the Stamparatus for that. This is a very large die, and sometimes it can be a challenge to get those to stamp very nicely, and so I use my Stamparatus so that I can restamp if necessary. It doesn't need a lot of magnet. It's not going to be that difficult. I'm going to just set this on here. And I didn't clean it, so I'm hoping I don't mess up my cardstock. I'll get that there. That's okay because it's right where it's going to go anyway. And then we're going to ink it up. And we will, my hand doesn't work very well yet. Still dealing with that sprained wrist. Okay, and then I bought one of these dry erase erasers, and it helps me with pressing down on the design. We'll pick it up very carefully. Oh yeah, we got lots to push here. I'll have to push with my hand over here. That's where the Stamparatus comes in really handy, because you can just set it down and hit those spots. If you need to, you can re-ink, and there we've got a good picture. All right, so we'll pull that off, and I am not going to worry about cleaning that right now. I'm just going to do this and set that aside. Now for this particular card, I did 2 of these, and I cut out these pieces you see here. This one, and this one. I fussy cut them out, so it would have been this group of leaves, this little stem here, and this stem of leaves here. And you can do that, but for this one I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Then for coloring, I used, let's get them in here, I used Old Olive Light. That's dark Old Olive. Got to look at my pens and read them here. Light Mossy Meadow. I think I used dark Granny Apple Green. And then I used light, there's a Mint Macaron. And I thought I used, yes, a light shaded spruce. So those are the colors I used to color all the different leaves. So let's just start. Doesn't matter which leaves you color, what color. So I don't think I need to tell you what to color, you know, just whatever strikes your fancy. And you may choose different greens as well. And that was perfectly fine. I don't know if I was really thrilled with the shaded spruce green that I used on the holly. So anyway, you might want to think about changing that up a little bit, maybe using a different color. But I'm going to stick with it for this one. There's that one. Then there's some, get my pens out of the way. Some up here that are the same style of leaf. And I was going to try and have some of this colored for you, but you know, it's just not always, doesn't always work that way. So today is Monday. It's actually like September 6th when I'm making this video, although it's going to go up in October. I do try to kind of stay ahead of my videos, and then you can put them up and set them up to go live on certain days. So that's what I do, and I try to stay ahead of things a little bit so that if something comes up, I can still keep a consistent flow of videos for you guys to watch. Now this one is the Light Mossy Meadow, and I am going to use that on decisions. I'm going to use that on these. Leaves. Now these blends pins on the basic white and basic vanilla cardstock can have a tendency to bleed, so you want to be very careful to go from the middle out, and then you'll see if you need to add a little more to keep the white covered. I've just kind of experienced that a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I think. So I share with you my experiences. I've been doing stamping for, oh golly, at least 25 years. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for almost 12 years. And I got started back when Close to My Heart was one of the first and only companies pretty much out there, and they were doing direct sales. And some friends of mine at church had started this group, what they called a 10 for 10, where each person would come and commit to spending $10, and that would be enough for the host of that week to get, or month, to get the host gift. And so that, and they had lost a person in their group and needed to replace them so that they could continue their 10 for 10 group. So they came to me and asked if I'd be interested. And at first I said, nah, you know, I used to own some stamps and I didn't really have that much fun with them. And it was kind of, I got rid of them. And so I didn't want to do it. But then they kind of pushed a little bit, and I felt bad because I knew they really wanted to keep their group going. And okay, I'll do it. There's only like 5 sessions left. So yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'm going to use this Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to use the pin end because I'm going to use it for these. And the pin end works perfect for those. It just fills them in so well. So anyway, I ended up doing it, and I ended up just falling in love with stamping all over again. And when that group got done, I didn't continue with close to my heart. I just started hitting every stamp store that existed, and there were quite a few of them at the time, and collecting all kinds of different stamps and making all different kinds of cards and different things. And so that's what got me started, and I did that for quite a while. And then, like I say, 11 years ago, I got introduced to Stampin' Up! And I was really intrigued with how everything coordinated, because I had been to the stamping store so many times to try and find just the right color of paper or the right color of ink to do a project that I wanted to do. And I ended up with this huge collection of stuff, and a lot of it I never used a second time. I did the project and then it got put away, and I don't know, it was just a real challenge to me. So I signed up for Stampin' Up! And I haven't looked back. I have just been so happy with their quality of product and their color coordination. I mean, all of their color groups coordinate with themselves as well as with each other. Their designer series papers all match, and sometimes that was the hardest part, was going and finding a pattern. And oh, I love that pattern. Now what colors of cardstock can I use to build with? And searching through the racks at the store trying to find that perfect color. Oh, sometimes that was a real challenge. And so I was happy with that. And something I've discovered as I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator now for quite a while is that I actually spend less time at the store and more time creating, which is wonderful. I also spend less money because I am more organized. Everything I have is pretty much 100%. If Stampin' Up! Has it, I have it. And I don't go outside of that very often. And so I actually spend less money on my crafting because I have everything that I need and it coordinates, and I don't have to go hunting for it and buy a bunch of things and then get home and go, oh, that isn't quite the right color, or that isn't going to work. And you stick it on the shelf and you're disappointed because you spent the money. So it actually ends up costing me less money being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator than it would have otherwise. So if you're not a demonstrator and you're interested in learning more about Stampin' Up!, I'd love to have you get a hold of me. Send me a message and I will get back to you about signing up. I don't have a large group. Currently, I have 4 downline. They're all hobby demonstrators. And a hobby demonstrator is just someone who doesn't do it trying to make a living at it, but just does stamping because they enjoy it. And then they get a few friends that join them, and they all do it together, and it gives her enough to maintain her discount as a demonstrator, because there's a discount involved. You get 20% off at first, and then as you go up in different levels, you earn more discounts and such. So it's kind of cool. Now here's dark mint macaron, and I am going to do these little guys. No, I'm going to use the light mint macaron. Where is that? Yeah, here it is. I'm going to use the light because it comes out dark enough by itself. And these guys are going to get that. So anyway, that's my Stampin' Up! Story. I'm sure that a lot of you who watch my videos are already demonstrators, and maybe you can use some of what I've shared to share with others to get people to sign up with you. Like I say, I'm pretty much like a hobby demonstrator. I'm a silver level demonstrator. Can't quite get to that silver elite because the people that signed up under me are all just hobby demonstrators and they're not interested in signing someone up. So I haven't been able to get that second downline that I need for that level, but I'm content. And you know, you don't have to make a big deal out of it. I do have a stamping room. I've shared some videos about that in the past. And so here's where I used the shaded spruce on the holly leaves, and I just not real thrilled with that color on the holly leaves, and I didn't want to go with evening evergreen. That's too dark, and I'd already used all my other greens. So I thought about, what about Just Jade? Let's see what Just Jade looks like. We'll just experiment. So you can see that a different color used on the holly. Let's do that. It's coming out kind of greenish, just like the evening evergreen. But, you know, you don't know till you try. You know how many times I experiment with a card and throw away because I didn't like it. You know, I try to do layouts and think about how it's going to all come together and try not to be wasteful, of course, but sometimes you just don't know till you actually build it whether it's going to work or not. And there have been lots of times where I've created an original card and said, oh, I don't know if I really like that. So I just set it up on my desk where I can look at it, and I walk away and I leave it for a day, and then I come back and I go, you know, it's not as bad as I thought. You know, sometimes you got to let it kind of sink in and maybe grow on you a little bit, and remember that not everybody's tastes are your tastes, and so someone else might just think that is such a beautiful card, and you might still be going, I don't know about that, but somebody else has a different eye and sees it and is just thrilled with what it looks like. So you just never know. And I do have a tendency to want to add a lot of embellishing, and there we go. That is totally colored. So it didn't take that long, a couple minutes. Okay, first layer I'm going to put on this is a piece of vellum. My vellum is 4 by 2.5, and I am going to just attach it to the front of this piece just like this, and I'm just going to use a couple of strips of Stampin' Seal, and it's going to be covered up here in the center, so I don't have to worry about whether the adhesive shows through or not. So I'm just going to put it right there, but look at that. It does show just a tiny bit, but it's not going to matter because it's going to get covered up. The next piece that I had is Old Olive, and it is 2 by 3. And then we had Petal Pink, and that's this one right here. It's a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4, and we're going to use this pick a punch banners to get that V in the end of it, and I'm just going to slide it in there, and I'm going to turn it over, make sure I get it straight, and we'll punch that end off, and we'll turn it around, and we'll do that again. Hopefully you can see that. I've just done that, and there's my little banner piece that goes on the back of this, just like this. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal there, and then I'll just lay this on here so that I get a little bit of that. Might have been good to have it be just a little bit longer. So if I were you, I would cut this one instead of 3 3/4, probably a full 4 inches, and then you'd have a little bit more showing at each end. So there's that part. Then I took the dies to cut out the Merry Christmas, and I've already done that because it takes a little bit of doing, and I put foam sheets on the back so it's raised. Their letters were raised as well. So let me get this off of here. Oh, I don't want to do that quite yet. I saved the backing so we can stick that there. Now this is where I did it different. On the original, like I said, I cut out those pieces. I stamped 2 backgrounds and I cut out those pieces. But for this one, I thought it might be kind of fun to go to the ephemera packs and see what they had in the gold and use that. So this is what I'm going to do for this one. And I'm just going to get out my glue pen, and I use the Zig 2-way glue pen. It's just the most convenient one for me. Get it to start putting glue out. You got to squeeze and press to get the glue out. And I'm just going to, I'm not doing the very ends because I'm going to let them hang off. And I want to kind of see where it's going to lay because I want to be sure and not go off the card. So I think I'm going to put it right in here like that. And then I'm going to use this little one instead of the green. And again, we'll just get some glue on there and stick that on. And we'll see what it looks like with the gold pieces instead of the cut out pieces. It'll be kind of fun to see. And there's not really a right or wrong placement for these. It's just whatever strikes your fancy, because then the words just go over the top of it. So I'm just going to do those ends. Get that. And I'm going to have this kind of go up this way. Let's do a double check. Make sure I'm staying on my card, and I am. All right, and then I got one more leaf here I cut off of one of the pieces. And I'm going to kind of tuck that so it looks like it's part of that one coming down that way. Okay, so there is that part, and now I'm ready to put the words on. So here's the word Mary. And this is cut out with mint macaron as the cardstock. And you need to do both words. You need a piece of mint macaron to be 2 by 3, and the foam sheet, of course, the same size, and you back it and then you cut it out. Okay, let's see, we got to kind of put these on so they don't run into each other. And I can never seem to save the little dot for the eye, so it's there. You just have to imagine it. Okay, then I brought in the basics. It's called Baker's Twine Basics, and so there's white, black, and tan, I believe. And I'm going to be using the white, and I'm going to put it around this piece. And I'm going to put just a little bit of, eventually this is going to get attached flat to the front of the card. I'm not going to dimensionalize it. And so I'm just going to give a little bit of adhesive there so I can start this. And then I'm just going to wrap it around 3 times just to give it a little bit of a, and we'll trim that like that. And then we'll go ahead and put stamp and seal on this. There we go. And stick it from me, and we will stick it to the card front, leaving an 1/8 of an inch gap all the way around, just like that. And then this piece is going to get attached with dimensionals. I'll put one there. Like that. And it goes over the top of the string and that, and just kind of centers on that vellum. Just like that. It's looking pretty nice. And then these are the little metallic pearls, and I colored them with the Flirty Flamingo ink pad. And we're going to put some of those on there for a little bit of bling. Some up on the around the letters. I did 9 of them for this particular project. Obviously you can do as few or as many as you would like. I tried coloring them with the petal pink because that's the color here of this cardstock. It was too faint. It didn't show up well. So I used the Flirty Flamingo, and as I say, the colors in this coordinate so well that it worked perfectly, and I'm happy with that. And so I'm putting some of these out here as well. Get that up here. I think we need one over this way. And let's put that last one. Oh, let's put that last one right here. Okay. Then if you wanted to, you could take the dark petal pink, and using the brush, not the brush end, but the pen end, you could just put a little bit of color around each of these green dots. And it just kind of adds a little bit more to the project. And it's okay that it's not like perfect. It's not supposed to be. And you could have done that over the entire card front, but it looks good. So there is today's project, casing the catalog. It's found on page 90, the project that I was copying. And you can see I made a few differences. I put different words. For this one, I changed it up and put the ephemera pack foils on there. So, and maybe a little bit different in the colors, some of the colors chosen for the leaves. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I thank you for stopping by. Be sure and check the link below. There's a link to my online store, and I'd love to have you shop with me, and I always enjoy seeing your comments. Thanks again.